they see it.
Yes.
No. Hi, Staya. Good to see you.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Good. It's like almost on the Venice Island. So many familiar faces.
Yeah, although like most of you look like, oh, now you're getting shapes. I think I have a very old headset, so it's very slow.
I think that it's also in the settings which headsets you.
Hi, Mushy.
Which avatars
I
you
am
you're
usually a
allowed to
Mushy
see.
as well. It's good to.
Okay.
Vanessa, hi.
Oh, hello. Yeah, hi.
I'm glad I didn't show up as my usual Mushy today.
It's okay. We could have been.
Oh, I think I'm still a
suspect
sausage. Is
here.
that correct?
We can do a dance number another time.
There's some persistence.
Nice.
How you doing?
Doing great.
Starting.
Oh, muting.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey. Sorry, I'm waiting for it to tell me what to say. But while I do that, I'm Amy Seidenworm, Chief of Programs and Strategy at Agog. Good to see you all. Hope everybody is doing well. Taking care of yourselves, your neighbors, and your community right now is very important. Please, everybody, take time and do that. Mike, I'm waiting on some slides here. Tell me what to say.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we've got a little bit of lag between the slides and them coming up on stage. Apologies.
But as you all know, we are hosting Phi Center today. I'm very excited about this chat. We be talking about to the creative team behind Blur. And I've not seen Blur. I'm going to be heading down to snowy Montreal soon to see it at Center Phi. It runs from February 18th through the end of March. And I am sorry, y'all. I have to resync. I'll be right back.
Oops. Then I'll also get.
The joys of mixed reality.
Yeah.
If that works. Oh, nice.
Yes.
All right. And here I am.
Hey.
Hello. Waiting for my slides again. Anyone? Oh, here we go. So, the dates for Blur,
We don't
February
see it
18th
yet.
through March 29. And I can't wait to see it. And Vanessa wants me to say that I'm also excited about poutine. It's great to be together with all of you. At Agog, we focus on how immersive media can be used for social good. We talk a lot about how technology can bring us together, and it's something that feels especially important right now. For me, these programs are a really good example of that, these programs bringing you all together. I want to give a big thank out to the Agog team who helps put these on, including our staff, Vanessa down here, Raul back here, Mackenzie, who helped you all at the front, Brian, who's taking questions on YouTube, and everyone else. Plus, Shushu and Nico created this beautiful world that, and Mike, Salmon, Manglebird, this bunny right here, worked on creating the space. And Lori from
Mike,
Being
jump
Immersive
back.
provided the capture and the feed and has improved this world greatly as well. If you didn't know already, you can use this space too for community events. If you want to throw an event in Agog House, just reach out to Vanessa, who is the mushroom down here, after the session, and she can help you make that happen. Couple of quick things before we get to our guests. Agog will be at South by again this year. There is once again be presenting the Immersive Impact Award and participating in some panels. Let us know if you're going to be there. We'd love to actually see you IRL. Our next Agog House program, speaking of, will be a conversation with the South by Southwest film and TV and immersive programmer Blake on February 26th. It's going to be a bit of a how to South by, how to Fest session where we take you into a lot of the different stuff that's going on and how best to attack their programming. And since we're hearing from Phi today, I wanted to also share we're really excited to be partnering with them for a second XR for Impact residency. It's an intensive 4-week program providing personalized support and resources to creators in the development and prototyping stage of a project. Our inaugural resident, Myriam, is an interdisciplinary artist whose work spans VR installations and design and fashion in a really exciting way, and I couldn't think of a better person to kick off this program. You can follow us on social media and Discord and sign up for our emails to hear about these programs and everything else we are working on at Agog. Quick housekeeping, please mute your microphones unless you are asking a question so that everybody can hear. Also, don't be shy to come take a seat up front. Looks like a lot of people are up here. Good crew. And now to the program. If you're here, I'm sure you've heard the buzz about Blur, or were lucky enough to see it for yourself at Venice. It's a powerful example of what's possible when artistic vision, technical innovation, and care for the audience come together.
If you don't mind.
The voices we have on stage are people who are always pushing boundaries in our field, and Blur is a perfect example of that. And we're good to go to the next slide anytime. Well, okay, Craig Quintero is co-creator of Blur, and he's the artistic director of Riverbed Theater. He's an interdisciplinary artist whose work spans performance, VR, and installation, whose immersive films and theater projects have been presented at festivals around the world. I also like to call him the David Lynch of VR. Phoebe Greenberg is the co-creator of Blur and founder and chief creative officer at Phi. She's a visionary cultural leader whose work has shaped Montreal into a global hub for contemporary and immersive art. And moderating today's conversation is Myriam Achard, Chief of New Media, Partnerships, and PR at Phi. She's a driving force behind Phi's international presence and a tireless advocate for emerging and experimental immersive practices. These are three people I admire very much, and I'm excited to bring them to the stage now. Come on down.
No, not on the
Can they hear me?
There aren't
Yes.
slides. There are no slides.
Okay, good. Okay.
Oops. All right, take it from here. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Can you hear us well? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thrilled to be with you today. So I'm Myriam, and I'm coming in from freezing Montreal today, and really happy to see a full house. I was about to say to see familiar faces, but I should say familiar names. And before starting the conversation, I would love to know who saw Blur, who in the audience saw Blur. If you could raise a hand. Okay, couple of people, couple of names I recognize. So it gives us a good idea of how deep we will go maybe in the conversation. Craig, Phoebe, thrilled to share the stage with you today. Amy introduced you already, both. So maybe I would suggest we just dive in right away and start talking a little bit about the project. But before that, I would love for you, Phoebe and Craig, maybe to tell us, how did it all start? How did you meet? Bring us back in the past a little bit, please.
Well, I met Craig in Venice during the Venice VR. I had seen in 2022 All That Remains. I come back from a theater background, and I really felt that the work that I saw Riverbed producing was intriguing. and I had a conversation, and I felt we had synergies. And
I'm
really
actually so sorry. I don't mean to be up here. My bad. My bad. I have a broken controller. Let me just move back here.
Bum rush the show.
So we had some synergies together, and just began a discussion, and that over time evolved into conceiving the project Blur.
Yeah, and it was really exciting. So after meeting Myriam and Phoebe and Venice, Phoebe invited me to go to the Phi Center. We sat down, had a conversation. Phoebe shared some research that she'd been doing and some articles she'd been reading on genetic engineering and cloning. And suddenly we're like, yeah, I mean, VR seems like an amazing medium when we're talking about avatars and doubling, to use this medium to jump into this topic. And so initial conversation around a newspaper article and some images led to 2.5 years of collaboration and preparation of this piece. And I think that's something that both of us agreed. And at initial stage, a couple points we really wanted to address. We wanted to be multi-users. We wanted the audience to be able to move through the experience. We wanted to have this collage of mediums, so it wouldn't just be one style, and to really think about how we could sort of really push the medium forward.
It was really important for us to, one, speak about something that was relevant in this time, as well as really find opportunity to transition the audience experience from one format to another as seamlessly as possible, and follow through an emotional narrative line, but embedded in a sort of a surrealistic, dreamlike landscape.
Thank you both. I think it's a great segue to maybe show a trailer for those of you who hadn't a chance to experience Blur. Let's start the trailer.
Which will come very shortly.
You are now made of particles.
What? I can't hear anything.
I hear a little volume.
It's easy to get lost sometimes. To lose yourself.
Hey, would you be able to put yourself on mute?
Oh, I'm not on mute? I'm so sorry, my bad. How do you do that? How do I give myself?
So, without revealing too much, it's obvious that Blur, is an experience that is at the intersection between performing arts and technology. Our two co-directors, Phoebe and Craig, are coming from the theater world, as Amy said in the introduction. I would love for both of you to maybe share with us how it was, to work with an interdisciplinary team, people coming from the theater, from dance, from technology. I think that could be very interesting for the audience.
Well, I found it really compelling to invite choreographers or people in traditional practices, and to see how we could translate their work into a digital platform. We really wanted, specifically with the hybrid animal person dancer, to really feel that the character was embodied. So we used mocap on a dancer and really had a world-class choreographer, Edward Locke, work in this medium, and it was a real experiment to see if we could really translate the delicacy and sensitivity of his work into this platform. And the same with composers and illustrators, and it was really fascinating to almost have a theater company, but the table now included developers and people in the field of immersion, and combining that with some of the more traditional practices.
Yeah, and with Riverbed, we'd been already done 360 VR films, and we've been doing immersive performances, live performances for an audience of one for a number of years. And so we're really interested in the intimacy between the performer and the audience, thinking about this idea of seeing and being seen. So as you're watching the experience, you're also being seen, and then really sort of immersing the audience in the physical tactility of the world. And so we did sort of have a physical set design, that element, but then as Phoebe mentioned, in our first rehearsal, someone coming from the theater, we had a table with 8 programmers and 10 computers, and suddenly, like, how do we integrate these mediums with intentionality? And thinking about how we could create this collage of mediums that made sense emotionally, intellectually, and spatially.
Thank you. For those of you who maybe are not aware, so Blur was launched in Taipei in March 2025 at the Taipei National Theater. It started then a tour towards Taiwan. We were lucky enough to be selected in Venice in the official competition in the immersive section. And we're about to and then back in Taiwan also, and we're about to announce new dates of the production in Europe, in Asia, in North America. As Amy said, it will be presented in Montreal as of February 18, running until March 29th. We would love to welcome you in Montreal and to see it, and I should say to experience it, because it's really about an experience. Phoebe, Craig, you both were in Venice. You both saw the reaction of the people.
It was crazy.
And you both had the chance to see the reaction of the audience. Like, how did you feel? How was it for both of you to see how people reacted?
Yeah, I think for me, it was just, so a lot of people in the field who, I really appreciate, who have seen the work, different ages. And when taking off their headset, there was this moment where you see them take off their headset, and it would take like 15, 20, 30 seconds, a minute to sort of come back to reality, and really thinking about the ability of these experiences to transport the audience. We're communicating a message about love and loss, about a mother who loses her child, but there's also really a lot of space for the audience to reflect on themselves. And I think in that exchange, there was, something was happening. The audience came into the experience and left, and they were transformed. And it was, really rewarding to see that happening.
Yeah, and I really thought that people were really opening up to this opportunity of what it means to transition from a live performance into the VR and the augmented reality, and really integrate touch, smell, sensation into a world that is otherwise less tactile.
Mm. Yeah, and I think as you're looking at the slides that we're showing up here, as we're sort of talking through this, we have a lot of images, not just from the production, but from the process. And I think that we're sort of showcasing that because as Phoebe and I were rehearsing, a lot of it was, stepping into the unknown, into forms in this mashup that hadn't really been done before so extensively. And so we saw images of volumetric capture, of hand-drawn animation, of the motion capture with Phoebe in the suit, and then with Edward Locke with the dancer. And it was really about how do we take these different languages and fit them together in a way that's cohesive and constructive and is very generative.
Hey, I always think that.
Banana, you need to mute, please.
Oh, my bad.
Auditioning for our next performance. This is good. So live improv. There we go.
Well, I would also add that it was really a team effort, integrating all of these disciplines and really finding solutions. And we did a series of workshops, which I really felt was so informative, because we could test things. We were inspired by, documentary footage where we had exchanged ideas through our knowledge of contemporary art. And so the dialogue amongst us all would help kind of direct the developers to explore and to push the boundaries of their practice. And for us, it was a real learning experience as former theater practitioners, in my case, to really understand time, where improvisation in the live theater obviously means a completely different thing than to have an idea and wait 10 hours for an adjustment. So it was really to learn to communicate in an efficient way, and to be able to translate our ideas and integrate the experimentation to really surprise ourselves and learn really to make a cohesive story, given the opportunity of this platform.
Yeah, and I think that's something in mentioning, and Phoebe just mentioned the workshops. I think that was a really essential part of the process. We had 5 workshops in Montreal, in Taipei. We also collaborated with Onassis Culture. So we had the opportunity to have 2 weeks working together. And I think that iterative process of putting the experience up on its feet, trying and seeing what worked, and sort of then collaging together these elements. And I think so it was a lot of trial and error, but sort of, what works on paper, what works in research, and then being able to put it up on its feet and develop the piece together.
I think it's a great segue, maybe, because you both spoke about the team effort. So Blur is a co-production between Taiwan, Quebec, Canada, and Greece. And many workshops happen in the different countries, a lot of team effort and teamwork. Can you maybe not, without going into many details, but what happened in which territory, and how was it to work, with 3 different countries, 3 different time zones? I think it's fascinating being a little bit a part of this process.
Yeah, so I think that it was really for Riverbed, as I mentioned, we've done 360 VR film, we've done theater, but we don't really have any foundation in the technology. And it was really amazing. The team at Phi Studio, Tomas, Colleen, Edouard, and a number of other folks, to really help us know what's possible, like what are the boundaries and how can we bump up against them, but really helping with, the audience movement through space, with the tracking, with the anti-latency flooring, with sort of really figuring out like how we can make this work, how we can put these pieces together. In Taiwan, we worked sort of more on the 360 VR film sections. We did some of the volumetric capture, and sort of working on more of that, the theatrical side of those elements. And then Greece, again, as I mentioned, was really a space to bring those ideas together and try them out physically in a large rehearsal room.
And I think it was really interesting to combine the knowledge of the studios, as Phi Studio is really concentrated a great deal on large-scale immersive, understanding the audience behavior, and really learning to welcome people and make them feel safe. And I think that combining the knowledge of certainly the vision of Craig and his team with our team really made it quite seamless. And over time, just with these workshops, I think it was just fascinating to see, understand the audience in Taiwan, understand somewhat in Venice, and really we're looking forward to seeing how it will be received in Montreal. But I think the cross-cultural issue really nourished the project, and it was a wonderful opportunity for all of us.
Yeah, and I think that with that too, it's important to, I mean, this Phoebe and I co-directing the project. Phoebe has such a strong background both in Lecoq Theater, but also in the visual arts, and like aesthetically, just finding those points of connections and really making it an additive process. I think that the two of us working together enabled us to bump up against what was comfortable for each of us or what was known, and to experiment with new directions, which was really essential and generative for the process.
I'd love to take us and talk a little bit about distribution. Blur is now starting a tour. As we mentioned, it was shown in Taiwan last year. It's going to be opening in Montreal in a couple of weeks. More cities will be announced shortly. But a question for both of you: when you produced Blur and when you co-directed Blur, were you seeing it more shown in theaters, in museums? What was your expectation? What was your dream? And how does it, concretely, what does it mean today with where in the spaces where we are going?
Well, it's interesting in terms of its size and tourability. I was interested personally to build a project that could enter into the museum world. I didn't quite anticipate the welcome to the theaters that we've had, but for me, the component that was important was to be able to condense a story that wasn't necessarily directed at a very large scale immersive experience that is suitable for families. This was really an art project and testing sort of the limits of how we could tell the story and yet have a relatively flexible production that could move in less traditional spaces dedicated to immersion.
Yeah, and I think it was exciting that, as Myriam mentioned, the piece premiered at the Taiwan National Theater, and then we're also able to share it there during Taiwan Week with 30 curators from around the world. And it was really sort of amazing, and we were surprised to see how many theaters now are wanting to incorporate XR experiences into their annual programming. And so we received a lot of interest from theaters across, North America, Asia, Europe, and it's really an exciting transition where the year before the Taiwan National Theater had programmed in the Blanca Lee piece, the Bal de Paris, and then they had Blur, and then next year they're extending. And so I think it's an exciting new trajectory for XR pieces and exploring those sites as venues. And one other quick point, Phoebe mentioned, like, sort of in terms of the audience, like when we performed it in Taiwan, people like 13, 14-year-old kids, but also 70, 80-year-old, traditional Taiwanese folks who hadn't seen VR, this technology, seeing the work and really embracing it in a way that was exciting. They're dancing with the Dolly character. To see them really activated and connecting with the piece was rewarding. Yeah.
And it was also an interesting observation, really, to think about contemporary artists and contemporary audiences and what their expectations are. I mean, this generation has grown up with screens, and we are here and there at the same time. We have our virtual selves, our physical selves, and it was important for us to really engage the audience in movement, their bodies, and a tactile experience, as well as stepping into the virtual space.
Merci, Phoebe. Merci, Craig. I think it's now time for questions. I look at Vanessa, also known as the mushroom, who has the mic.
The magic mushroom over here. So I'll circulate in the room. So if anyone wants to raise their hand with a question, I'll come over to you with the microphone. Anyone have a question in the room? Yes. You.
We can't hear you.
Just pull on the
And now,
trigger. There you,
Yes.
is it working? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So I wanted to know. It's a kind of an like an interest point of view to the how the audience of your piece received the different medias you melted into each other from. I haven't seen Blur, but by the trailer and by some materials I found online, I saw that you mixed volumetric and motion capturing you mentioned, and so I saw in the back slides here that you even had some scenes in 360, and the boy who is in the 360 scene is as well recorded in a volumetric studio. So how was this mixing of these different approaches and how it was received, that it's partly 3DOF, partly 6DOF?
Yeah, I'd say that it was a really essential part of thinking about the structure of the piece in our initial conversations. A lot of the XR pieces that we've seen before are one language or one structure, and so it's all animation or it's all hand-drawn quill. And we really wanted to think about how we could create this collage together that would sort of, in terms of the audience, challenging expectations. So before they settled on one language or one form, to sort of shift gears and shift to a new medium. And so a lot of it was really important thinking about the choreography of the audience, like how they would move through these worlds. For example, there's one sequence where they're going down a corridor and 6 off, so they're moving, physically walking through the space, and then suddenly they turn, and we wanted to have an element on the floor, then move towards them, and we wanted then it shift to 3DOF. And so a lot of the experimentation is like, well, how can we make that transition seamless? So the audience moves in real time, and then suddenly the image itself can sort of hold them in place and keep them there, and then sort of that scene happens. And so the way that we really spend a lot of time in the rehearsal process thinking about how to make it make sense for the audience, so those transitions would be as seamless as possible. Surprising, but seamless. And so the team at Phi, so Tomas and Ed, did an amazing job of like helping, again, so sometimes the trigger for the next scene would start earlier. Sometimes we change the location of it spatially. So as you enter into the room, you don't have time to sort of move around the experience. It sort of happens to you. And so the timing and the choreography of the movement became essential.
And it was really interesting to follow the storyline with the avatar that you meet as a live actress becomes the avatar, and then you see her again in pass through, and then in 360. So that helped us propel the experience forward, and also really create this feeling of wonder.
Other questions?
And at first the guide was going to be like a little baby woolly mammoth, and so for the first rehearsal we had a little woolly mammoth floating through the room. We're like, interesting, but that does not work. So it lasted for one day and then got cut.
I have a question up here. Hi. I've been fascinated with this idea of your touring model and wondering, are you bringing the entire cast and crew every time you tour, or are you plugging in different actors in different areas?
The lead actress for the time being is staying with the production with the tour, and then we're casting the 2 additional actresses in various locations. But this is our first attempt at it in Montreal, because both Taipei and Venice were with the original cast. But the importance of the casting is it's not a huge stretch from a comedic level, but they become part of the team that navigates the audience through the entire experience.
And then just sort of further to that, and then I'll give up the mic. Is there a world where you could have this actually happening in different places at the same time, like in different locations concurrently, or is that not in your cards?
Yes, so we have 2 sets. There were 2 sets that are built. So we're actually in October, we're hopefully going to be performing in Korea and also another location in Europe. And so we're able to sort of simultaneously stage it in different locations.
Vanessa, I think you have many questions.
I think Kenzo in the front row had a question.
Yeah, actually, you answered half of it. I'm working on a new discovery tool, XR Guide, so people can find these experiences. What does your tour and larger roadmap look like? How are you setting up for distribution given the structure that you're working with?
I mean, right now, and I'm not sure I understood your question, but maybe I'll jump in there because I'm actually looking a lot into distribution. So as Craig said, we have currently 2 kits. One kit that will come to Montreal a couple of weeks, and then one kit that is in Asia. Ideally, we would love to have more. Maybe one kit specifically for Europe, specifically for North America, and then one for Asia. It's a work that is, you can only welcome maximum 10 people at a time. You want to keep the intimacy. Of course, we hope that this work will tour for a long time, but the interest, and as I said, I'm looking into distribution right now. Like the interest is very strong, and coming from theaters, from museums, it's quite fascinating to see how people are open to welcome that type of works in their venues.
You answered the question specifically. Museums and festivals and theaters are the primary venue for this kind of work. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, recently we presented at the International Society of Performing Arts in New York, and it's a lot of universities in the United States also in terms of their programming expressed interest, and that's a new venue that we're sort of now exploring.
Well, I've put you in XR Guide as of today, so that will go live soon. Thanks for sharing your work.
Yes.
Best of luck on it.
Thank you very much.
Do we have other questions in the room? I'm just looking for raised hands.
I think
Martin? Or Mary, sorry? Or
did Mary?
No, sorry, I just had a flick of my wrist.
I mean,
I'm not sure if they asked or
And
not.
I think, is that Mackenzie in the back?
I wanted to know how was the collaboration with the Taiwanese team, as I have seen that there are some workers from the clouds are 2,000 meters up. They have overlapping specialists, and as I saw in the making of materials, so I wanted to know how this experience was.
So the people that you probably saw that worked with Singing Chen were the team from Punique. And so if you've been watching VR, recently in the past 5 years, like in 2022, Singing Chen's piece, The Man Who Couldn't Leave, was also shot by Punique. They do primarily 360 VR filming, and really high image quality, really high sort of resolution, and sort of help address a lot of the technical issues. And so, they've worked with us on our 360 VR films and then on Blur, and I highly recommend them. I mean, it's sort of top of the line work. Yeah.
Hi, Vanessa. I have a question.
Where are you?
I don't know how to raise my hand.
He's right in front of you.
Oh, okay, right in front of me. Here you go. Here you go.
Do I have to?
Oh, can you pull the trigger? There you go.
Yes. Hi. I have a quick question. So I've seen more and more VR XR developers jumping into the field with on-site experiences. What do you think of the difference between on-site and online experience? A regular VRChat or developing some apps and through the App Store for the experience in that way. What do you think the difference between how much audience can appreciate it and how much revenue generate?
Well,
sorry,
I think we have the question. Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one, it opens up visibility to this kind of project, because I think it's a relatively we don't want we want to open it up for people who might go to the theater, who might see exhibitions, who aren't necessarily so agile in the XR world. And for me, it was important to present this piece in a public space. Phi, for the last decade, has really enhanced our program from, in the early days, a few VR headsets and chairs, and then over time building a more museum-like experience with multiple works, and then finally with the Infinite, creating the first large-scale VR piece. And it was important for us to really think about accessibility to the works and also sustainability. So pushing, the input throughput was an important element. In this particular piece, I think it was really an exploration of the art form and really exploring how the theater and live tactile feeling, sensation, onboarding, all really informed this project, and really important that it was a live experience.
Yeah, I think this work could not exist. It's like, oh, can you create like a standalone, like viewer can experience at home? And I don't think this piece would function that way, and it wasn't designed that way. I think the intentionality of having 10 audience members to be able to have the performers individually engage with them. And so there's something very intimate. There's a connection. There's something really special that happens in that liveness. And I think that a lot of the response, the positive response in Venice, was because somehow something different than instead of watching it, it was really sort of happening with them and to them. And so in terms of the initial starting point, we wanted to have 20 audience members. That was sort of the mandate. That would be sort of easier for distribution and making it make sense dollar-wise. But as we started working on the piece, we sort of realized that 10 people was the number that we could sort of really sort of engage with in the way that we wanted to, and have the experience that we wanted. And so, it's exciting to see the audience response to that, and then thinking about like the next piece, how can we maybe potentially scale up to 20 audience members to still have that same sort of sense of experience, but then also make the touring easier.
I think we are out of time.
I think we could take let's take a couple more questions, but I'll take them from the YouTube audience. You've actually ended up answering several of the questions that have come in, I believe, but I think I'll zero in on you had described what one of the traveling kits contains, and I think people are curious what that looks like for a distributor to unpack.
Well, the original. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we have like
it's okay.
difficult as avatars. I can't read your lips.
I know I can't read your expression.
Yeah,
go ahead. It's fine.
Phoebe. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
Yep.
The initial design that was created in Taiwan had a more rigid structure, which was not cost prohibitive to build, but a little bit more complicated to travel. What we designed for Venice was a much more flexible touring opportunity from a scenographic point of view. And other than that, it's relatively, I think it fits in a
it's like a one shipping container. Yeah. And then like with the theaters that we're working with, most theaters already have support staff to help unload. When we did it at the Tainan Museum of Art in December, basically we were able to unload, install in a day and a half, do a day of tech, and then be ready to run. And so all the headsets, the flooring, the scenic elements, all the lighting is self-contained and sound. And so it's really a standalone unit. As long as you have like a black box or a white box space, with a specific spatial dimensions, can really be installed and up on its feet in 3 days.
Thank you. So I think we are going to call it time, but there will be an opportunity to do a little bit of mingling in the room here. Thank you all so much for coming in. I know we had a few technical difficulties, but it was such a treat to hear from you today. And thanks to everyone on our YouTube stream for tuning in and everyone here in VRChat. So let's give a big round of applause.
Great. Thank you, and hope to see you in Montreal. Yeah.
Come to Montreal between
Come to Montreal.
February 18, March 29th. And thank you so much to the entire team at Agog for hosting
Thank
that type
you.
of event, but for hosting us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Ooh, merci.
Craig is a genius.
I'd give you a high five, Phoebe, but I don't know how to do that.
Here, let's do this.
All right. Oh my God, I ran through your.
Hi, Eve. It's Veronica.
Out of my hotel
Hi,
room
Dario.
soon.
Okay, see ya.